Ladies and gentlemen, the Anointed One, aka
Fragrance King.
What's up, everybody? So I'm back. I'm gonna talk about some of the things. React a little bit to Russell Brand's latest video today. What is it? August 7th or something? Yeah, August 7th. So he's talking about Trump's being indicted 3 times or whatever. And he wants you to comment on his video. And he gets into democracy and everything. And so obviously I just want to explain some things too. It's just, Washington's concept of small government and a democracy. It's like it kind of sounds good at first. And then he has capital gain, unlimited capital gain, free market, which is free market on capital gain. Just you run that with some forethought. It's unlimited capital gain. Then they have writing some monopoly law, interference type stuff. Try to cancel out some monopolies, but it sounds good. And if you say a lie loud enough or long enough, it becomes the truth. So everybody's going, we got a democracy, our democracy matters, you get to vote, and we free market, free market, free market, but they don't go together. And so just because they say it out loud so many times doesn't mean it's ever going to be the truth. So with money is power, which money is power and is purchase power globally, everywhere. Then, we got runaway profits from corporations to buy everything. So if the people have zero money, we're all in debt. 80% of the people qualified for a stimulus check in the pandemic. We're all broke, which means we have no power. But there's still power to the people in a democracy, so we can vote on stuff. And we have power, but there's the ultra-rich, the corporations. How they do business, they do it through banking systems. So it's just like banking systems, corporations, and they buy your politicians, and the politicians stay in office for 50 plus years and writing whatever caters to them, lining their pockets and propping up the corporations. And they don't, they follow the rules, and they're not a monopoly, and they just always have these extended profits and loopholes, and they buy both sides. So your politicians are always ultra rich, controlled by the ultra rich, or they are puppets to them no matter what anybody wants to say. And it's what it is. And so Russell Brand's all talking about some good stuff, and he wants you to comment. And so what would ever need to happen to fix this is that the people would have to have as much money as the government, and then same for the corporations that have to be ration out of money in of equal proportions to balance out the system. So the corporations can't have way more money than the people and the government, and essentially buy the government. That's what's happening. And then the government can't have more power than the people, and so always got to be a balance between the government and the people need to have some power, and they need to have money. So what happens is these corporations dwarf their democracy, then their democracy doesn't really matter. They vote on nonsense issues, and pretty much they don't even control their economics, and that's the definition of capitalism. I'll throw it up here again. I think I did that in another video. But yeah, so in a capitalism system, your trade and industry is controlled by private owners. So the people have no power and no control over their economics. So the people have no power. So the people have power to vote, and it's a two-party system where they're both corrupt on both sides, all the way up to House and the Senate. Everybody's been in there for 50 years. And you're looking at your state governors, and they're corrupt too, and it doesn't really matter. They don't have any power. Most of these states are bankrupt, or pretty close to it, not really doing much. Trying to tax to generate revenue. So, how would you ever fix this besides balancing out the people and the government and the corporations? And who's going to do that? Who's going to give money to the people? Nobody. The corporations ever going to give up their money? Definitely not. And they're trying to push towards a global reset, and it's like our currency is kind of like worthless now, and if we're all going to live in debt, and the people are free, then it's like, it's gone. The system's out of whack. It needs to be reset, and people have no power. The government just caters to the ultra rich. And yeah, like BlackRock, JP Morgan, there it's ever since like the 1800s. So they put the railroad in. It's just been a Rockefellerian gangster mafia capitalism. And we kind of never left that. It's still here. BlackRock and JP Morgan just did a deal. They're investing $400 billion in rebuilding Ukraine. So Ukraine is just bought, paid for by American corporations. That's why they'll never get brought into the EU. That's why they'll never get brought into NATO. It's because it's big American money. So Russia keeps pushing. Eventually American big money will push back, and American big money dwarfs anything that Russia could ever do. So then it's about means of military production, military arms, and equipment, and America will just produce more for now and sell China or Taiwan $600 billion military industrial complex. We got weapons to go around, basically, is what I'm saying. So Russia's not going to do nothing but take us to a nuclear war. So Russell Brand's good. Check out his new video. He's got 6 million subscribers. Wants more, so let me know what you think about that. He's got power and influence for sure. And then Donald Trump, what do you think they're doing? Railroading him pretty hard? It would look to be that way, or else they would have came out with these indictments years and years ago. There's the mass media is playing some trickery on letting the people know about certain footage, and it'll all come out in court. So there's nothing to really worry about. Everything is going to come out in court. So we'll see what happens with this next election, but it's going to be more of the same. How could anybody think that a corporation just trillions of dollars, multiple billions, hundreds of billions of dollars wouldn't, they control everything. That's what I'm saying. These presidents are puppets. Everybody's a puppet. Like, the game is so far rigged that people think they're voting on something, and it's just like, all we get to vote on is what ultra rich family installment of politicians do we get to write new legislation and to take away more of our freedoms and take away more of our money. And that's all that ever happens, is they just continue to write legislation that doesn't benefit us at all and makes us more poor. That's it. I mean, that's all they do. So it's like, but that's just some thoughts from me too. We're screwed. I don't like Washington's idea of small government and then unlimited capital gain. I think that we need to regulate the markets. The market gets stifled out from both sides. If you regulate it and rig it, it's corrupt one way. If you let it go and become a free market, it goes corrupt that way. Then it has more power than the government, essentially. Then what dwarfs your democracy means nothing. If people really do have no money, then they really don't have any power. And what's the point of democracy at that point? So if money's power, then you gotta have to balance the money out. That's the only way to fix any of this. You gotta balance the money out. And then probably would drop crime down, probably drop a lot of capital incentive down, and so then we're like looking to where we're gonna have a balance of money. We're gonna go towards some kind of a socialism system, so they don't want to balance anything out. And that's right. So that's what I wanted to get to too, is some Christology, where you get the golden rule: do unto each other as you want to be done to you, which implies that we're all the same, or we're not all the same. So if we're all the same, then you would do unto somebody else as you'd want done to you. We're the same, and that's how it should be. And then if Jesus was the sacrificial lamb, the last sacrifice, if he was the Lamb of God, you get what Muhammad wrote as Islam. So you get that socialist network where we're all the same, we all have our families, we do on each other as we want done to you. Islam looks like the Catholics, Pope, and the nuns, and that's just what it is. And it becomes socialism tribe for, and that's how it is. Everybody's the same. Everybody's pretty close to the same. But if what the Islamic dilemma is, they don't know if it's going to be Muhammad bloodline dynasty king reign over everybody, or if it's going to be an elected official through Ali, his son-in-law. So that's the Sunni It's a dynasty, Shias, elected officials, which both claim they know who Jesus is, but they do not have freedom of speech or protest enough to talk about corruption. And so that's the flaw of Islamic government. They can't talk about corruption, but they corrupt at both sides, whether it's a dynasty or it's a government. The Bible starts out as an Egyptian dynasty. So then Ishmael is the bloodline of Islam, and what Muhammad's sticking up for, and that's the firstborn son of Abraham. And Abraham had a son with Hagar, which is Egyptian. So Ishmael is 3/4 Egyptian, 1/4 Jewish, Caucasian. So technically that's Muhammad would be an Egyptian dynasty again. That's how the Bible starts off. So that's a conflict between the Islam and the Jews. They always fight about that. So if you would agree, then if we're not all the same, we have to do on each other as you want done to you. Which, it's like, hey, don't do that to me. I don't want that done to me. I'm not. We have a difference of opinion and everything. Well, we'll respect each other. Just don't tread on me. So you get America, that don't tread on me flag. We're all kind of different. We got a first, second, third world merge, different evolutionary rates, different behavior patterns, adaptations to whatever tribe you came from. And then we have America, and we divide power as much as possible. We try to prevent corruption as much as possible, and it's crazy chaos. And you have all the logistics to come with America, which is a greed-based incentive capitalistic society, which promotes immorality, and then nice guys finish last, and moral people succeed. It's cutthroat business, and then you stem off into two parts of the Jesus' golden rule. Which one is it? We're all the same. We do on each other as you want done to yourself, or we're not the same, and don't tread on me, but I'll respect you. But we're not. We're going to compete in a capitalism system with greed incentive. We're not the same. We're watching the two civilizations develop, and which one's right. And we can look at the civilizations and see which ones are working, and if we should even follow any of Christ's moral principles. And then then you have to decide if Christ's moral principles are something that anybody should follow, or what are they? Define morals, define God, define right and wrong, and then define on what are we going to do, and that's what we have, developing laws. So that's our system. What are we going to do? We got the body of the people, democratic government, and unlimited capital gain, established corporations out for profit. There's a lot of problems, and then nobody can run the banking system correctly. And how do you run a banking system? So I'm going to explain the banking system later on. But it's either going to be a gold shekel world where we crowdfund to make businesses that work for the people, or we're going to have instantly print off credit-based fractional reserve banking, digital money, not backed by gold anymore, print money off. We don't have to carry gold shekels. We got paper. It's virtually worthless. But we can start a business immediately and create some sales, and then whether those sales are good or not, or if they're just selling you corn syrup poison, that's something else we can talk about. But in a free market, if the people are buying it, that means they want it. Then it means it's there. It's good. So as long as it's not regulated by the FDA or it's poison, it's a successful business. So ads and marketing, and tell a lie loud enough for long enough, it becomes the truth. And that's where we're at in America right now, where nobody kind of really knows what's going on. They're all voting on stuff on two-party system, basically social stuff, social issues that don't really get down to the bottom. The problem is that the people don't have any money, they don't have any power. And so they're just playing a game in a democracy where it's the corporations, the government, and the people, and they're spread out. And the people are supposed to have the power in the body. And they just let the people think they have the power and their votes matter, but they don't really get to vote on anything that benefits them financially as a body of people. Just pretty much voting on what they're going to do with the tax revenue. We quantitatively ease, print money off for whatever we need. While we do that, big corporations like BlackRock and JP just throw $400 billion down on Ukraine overseas. And wouldn't you guys like to have that money invested in America? And there's some other stuff. Market reflexivity is George Soros' tactic, and you can look up market reflexivity. So that's kind of what they do, is they break stuff down when it becomes worthless, and they go back and buy it, and then they reestablish it and profit off of it. So they will never reinvest into America. They're going to wait till Ukraine breaks down, invest into that, and then profit hugely off of that. And it's just market reflexivity tactics. Look it up. That's just some of my thoughts. And you should check out Russell Brand's video and let him know what you think. He's got 7 million followers, so it's the only way to communicate anymore. Global social media. Get some ideas done. Get some ideas out there and talked about, basically. So whether you want Trump or Biden or Newsom or DeSantis or anybody out there, basically just voting on social issues. They're all going to be legitimized through the realm of what's constitutionally argumented for. But anyways, like, comment, subscribe. If you don't like it, whatever, like it anyways. I don't, whatever. I'm gonna do some reaction videos to stuff like this as much as possible. So like, comment, subscribe. I'm out. Assalamualaikum.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Anointed One, aka
Fragrance King.